It all started in the world foods aisle. I wasn't in the best of moods. Been working since 6:30, up since 5. Absolute bastard of a headache. PMS killing me. I felt fat, just all over. And stacking maple syrups was not helping. Tony was on the same shift as me, third time this week. He was going on about these new trainers he just bought. Could not get enough of himself, honestly. They were those custom Nikes, you know, inscribed on the back. TB, Tony Batty. Yes, his name's Tony Batty. And no, I've never teased him about it. But yes, I've sometimes thought about teasing him about it. He was wanging on about him as if his life depended on it. And so I just said, isn't TB a disease? And he got really arsey really quickly. And I had to back down, even though I Googled it later. And TB definitely is a disease. Oh, I don't know. No one's got much going on at the minute. And life's difficult enough as it is. So I just thought, think kindly of Tony's hard-on for a pair of trainers. Clearly means a lot to him. So anyway, we were in the world foods aisle. Him on Bombay mix and me cleaning up a bunch of smashed pink wafers when this elderly lady started shouting at the foreign crisps. Now, you do get shouters in supermarkets. Lots of people in and out all day. Tony just said, leave it, she'll get bored eventually. But she kept shouting and shouting. And I left it. Few minutes more. Then I spotted this look out of the corner of my eye from one of the other customers, well-dressed mum with a chunky little monkey in the front of her cart. She was giving me that look like, you know, that silent look that says, if you're not going to do anything about this, I'm going to be referring to this story every time someone wants to have a go about supermarkets and the people that work in them. I'm not one to shy away from a professional situation, and I didn't want yummy mummy over there to think that I was, so I went over. She had this packet of crisps in her hand and she was just yelling at it. How dare you stock this stuff? Disgusting. It's made by murderers. Peanut butter crisps. I mean, what's the world coming to? I laughed internally because, like, I've never known crisps to be the source of so much anger. I've only ever known them to be a source of great joy. So I said, politely, Madam, is there a problem here? She looked different, close up. I can't quite... She looked like someone had taken one of those eyeshadow palettes off one of the discounted buckets in Superdrug, put it in a catapult and aimed it straight at her face. She had this brown coat and these brown shoes, tights the colour of cake mix, and this faded purple jumper and a thick grey skirt. So thick, I thought, it's August, babe, what you doing? And I remember her basket. She had a packet of bacon, a can of pineapple slices, and a pair of salad servers. Something felt, I don't know. Anyway, she still had this packet of crisps in her hand and she was still shouting at them. And I was trying to say, is there something I can help you with? What's the problem? Etc, etc. And suddenly she jerked her whole body around to face me, full of fury and venom. She hissed, I don't want to see this dirty Jewish food in my supermarket. I was shocked because a fleck of her spit hit me just here. And I thought, good range on her. I let it soak into my skin, thinking it was rude to wipe it away. Tony threw her out. He was really hard on her. But I just thought, people in their right mind don't put their makeup on like that. I'm sorry, they just don't. Rudy, Ratchet. How's it like that? Ready, set, oh, oh, savage. Mel's having a party. She's promised us, it's just a small thing, obviously, let's not get ahead of ourselves. She's been working from home this whole time and she's literally just texted me to say she stabbed herself in the eye with her mascara brush. It's been that long. Oh God, my eyebrows need a seeing too. Me and my mascara brush, best mates. Honestly, Morrisons was supposed to be my temporary side hustle and then a global pandemic hit and suddenly it's like the only hustle available. Mum and Dad go on about how lucky I am and I'm not complaining, but I don't know. Susie reckons I'm smart, thinks I could work myself up to accounts or something. I do actually like maths. I almost did a degree in it. To be honest, I've always really wanted to be a teacher. You know what? I don't actually know who's coming to this thing later. Mel's braving a barbecue in her front garden. That sky, I'll have words with it if it pisses on my first party in 5 months, honestly. I think it's safe to say that Freddie will be there. I'll have a glass of red to be all right. Thing is, he told me he needed space to focus on some shit going on in his head. Said he wasn't ready. For what? I don't know, because I've not said anything about moving in, getting married, having kids. Said he needed space to focus on himself. Problem is, my mate Zara, and this was in February, caught him all over some girl down our local, and I was like, oh. So when you said you needed space, just forgot to add from you. I obviously won't say anything to him later. I want to, but I won't. I'll just smile and listen and blame myself that he doesn't want me. When I was younger, you know what I really, really, really wanted? Get my nose pierced. You won't believe how many conversations I had with myself about this nose piercing, the pros, the cons. And when I told Freddie, we were going out about like a year, I reckon. And I thought, he'll know whether or not this is a good idea. And in my head, I thought, this isn't really a fair question because there's only one right answer. But then I thought, there's no way he'll say no to this. So when I asked him, and shock horror, he paused and then he looked at me and said, your nose isn't the smallest, babe, is it? Your nose isn't the smallest. He turned away, started scrolling the football scores on his phone. And all night I had this image of this big looming nose, you know, covered in warts and hair, nostrils the size of Monster Munch. I just thought, why are you trying to polish something that won't shine? Dad was still, small, like a captured animal. Mum, on the other hand, hit the actual roof. She started yelling, "Why didn't you tell us about this sooner? Who was she? I hope she got a life ban. Did you report it? It's a hate crime, you know." I looked at Dad. It was like I'd shot him with what I'd said. I said to her, to them both, "Look, it's not a big deal. I'm not upset. She wasn't very well." Well, that started Mum right off. "Too right she isn't well. What kind of person does that? And in Morrisons." God. All I kept thinking was, a Jew in Morrisons. Hey. But Mum kept on. "How could you not tell us about this sooner? This is not acceptable. You see, there are these people out there." I looked at Dad again. He squeezed my hand with his eyes. Then I accidentally let out that I wish I'd never said anything. Mum marched straight over, grabbed both my arms, looked at me with the same intensity that old lady had had, and just said, "Don't you remember them shouting, 'The Yiddo kiddo's here! The Yiddo kiddo's here!'" Suddenly this, portal opened up in my brain. And I saw Kevin and Donovan and my brother in between. And I knew instantly what she was talking about. Adam's my older brother. He's a social worker. He's amazing. We were always Adam and Amy, the Adam and Amy show. Way before the Kardashians had the letter K, my mum had the letter A. Obsessed. We got this multiple when I was 10 and I wanted to call it Cheryl after Cheryl, but Mum was like, "Absolutely not. It's an A name or nothing." Aaliyah only lived to be 2. Cancer. Just be glad Adam didn't get his way, otherwise she'd be called Arctic Monkey. The Yiddo kiddo. God. Dad still hadn't said anything though. And Mum can do this sometimes. She can have a conversation and then just not let anyone speak. It's not like we're even really Jews. Do you know what I mean? I remember going to Passover once as a kid. There was only one Jewish family even vaguely in the area, so we got invited to their house, but they knew a whole load of other Jews, so there were like 40 of us or something insane. Adam and me, we were sat at the kids' table, clutching each other like, what the hell are we doing here? And then there was this guy, I remember, father of the house or something, and suddenly he stands up and starts praying. And then all the men stand up, and they've all got the little hat on, you know, all except my dad, of course. And Adam and me look at each other and we're like, what? Spot the bad Jew? Now, my dad's smart enough to sense that an uncovered head is not a good look in this situation. So he quickly grabs one of the embroidered napkins off the table, unfolds it over his head, bows, starts pretending that he knows the words. And this bass hum fills the room. And I remember feeling so is this us now? I turned to Mum, and even as the words were leaving my lips, I thought, oh shit, don't say this isn't a good idea, but it was too late, and I just said, well, why did you move us to this shithole then, where we were always going to be the only Jews in the village? It's hardly Stamford Hill, and our surname is Finkelstein, so we can't exactly escape it. I don't think you can understand a mother's pain if you're not a mother. The worst part is you don't feel anything when you inflict it either. She has this storage unit, right? And you press a button and it sinks to the floor. And then you press another button and a telly pops up. And when I say telly, right, I mean giant. Rachel turned it on after our lesson and I was like, what colours? I mean, I know we've not been allowed to go to the cinema in a while, but Jesus, they were blinding. So, good news, I've started a new job. Well, I'm still part-time at Morrisons, but I started a tutoring business. It's the closest I can get to being a teacher without spending a fortune I do not have on a qualification. What it means in practice is that I'm still on Zoom a lot, but very occasionally I get to go to a very big house and teach a very small child. Rachel's mum's actually really nice. Matilda. She always offers me an Earl Grey and these amazing biscotti. She told me about a month in that she hired me because I'm Jewish. I was like, however did you know? She laughed at that. Don't worry, I meant it as a joke. I laughed too. And she said, I just trust a Jew more than a Gentile. Know what I mean? And I was like, yes, I do know what you mean. Even though, no, I have no idea what you meant, but I thought, now's not the time for detail. She really likes me and thinks I'm good at my job. And Rachel actually likes me. The two of them, I never see the dad. They're really nice to me, like, all the time. I don't understand it, but if I keep doing what I'm doing, I reckon I'll be all right. Though there was a moment a few weeks ago where I thought, this is it. This is where I screw up. I just finished with Rachel and Tilda offered me a tea, so I said yes, because I always say yes, and we sat down, got to talking, and the conversation turned to racism, history, all of that. What she'd been telling Rachel about everything. And then she started talking about Israel. Now, I don't know anything about Israel. I've never been to Israel. No one in my family's been to Israel. I mean, all I know about Israel is A, it's full of Jews, and B, it's been fighting with Palestine for about 100 years. I mean, that's the extent of my knowledge. It's not the first time I've been asked about Israel either. I mean, I think they think, oh, she's Jewish, she'll have an opinion. And I'm like, no, I really don't. I don't live there. I don't know anyone who does. I've got no dog in this fight. Being really, really honest, I've got bigger things to worry about. But Tilda asked me about it. And I couldn't read her. Couldn't tell what side she was on. She seemed sort of left-wing, but then she got really tense talking about the Palestinians. I thought, oh, maybe she doesn't like them. So I just trotted out the line I always do in these situations, which is just the whole thing. It's a terrible tragedy, isn't it? She looked at me, and for a few heart-stopping moments, I thought, this is it. This is where she finds me out. This is where she'll know I'm not a real Jew, and she'll fire me. She's definitely going to fire me. But her face just fell inwards, and she said, terrible tragedy. And we sipped our tea. I told Dad about the conversation. Didn't say much. He went upstairs and brought a photo down. A wedding. I'd never seen it before. He pointed to one of the men standing proudly by the bride and said, that's my great-grandfather, Joseph. This is Poland. We're Polish, me and your mum, both. So I said, what happened to him? Knowing full well what the answer was. And he replied, we don't know. Dead, I guess. My grandfather survived the camps, got taken to England. I never spoke to him about it. Then we watched Pointless. Final round was on 70s footballers, so Dad was well away, won the jackpot, said he'd take us to Florida. The problem is I don't know who I'm supposed to be. Don't feel any ownership over my identity. I don't know how to be Jewish. And yet I am. But it only matters when it's being threatened. I'm white. I don't know anything about racism. I mean, I don't know how it feels. Polish. It's not like I don't know. Everybody knows. I just didn't see myself in it. Thought it was something that happened to other people a long, long time ago. Not something that would happen to me or anyone I know. You know, I've done nothing about racism my entire life. I see all these posts on Instagram, you know, books I should have read, people I should know. Not read any of them, don't know any of them. Stupid old me, didn't think it was my problem, end of. Oh, sorry. Been really angry with myself lately. I tried being angry with Dad, you know, about the photo and that, but I saw the look on his face when he showed me it and the horrible silence that hit him afterwards, and I thought, yeah, that's hardly fair. Probably feels as guilty as I do that he didn't ask enough questions in time to know more than he does now. Freddie tried it on again. Yeah, I know. What a numpty. We were at another little party. I just turned to him and said, you're not in my bubble, mate, so back the off. Thought I was an easy win. Just told him what a shit he'd been to me all these years. Denied it all, of course. We're currently not talking, and it's the one thing in my life I feel pretty good about. I am really trying to be less angry with myself, you know, but it's hard. It's so hard. I know it's not good to hold on to past mistakes. You know, I sort of think it's a cowardly way of keeping the status quo. Like, if you don't deal with your anger towards yourself, you don't have to deal with your anger towards others. The world's been ripped to shreds and taken me along with it, being quite honest. I saw that woman again, though, the other day in Morrisons, yeah. Recognised her immediately. Same skirt, that face, the makeup, gold glitter on the cheeks this time. Basket was looking healthier though. She was trudging back and forth across the aisles, stooped over her basket, cautiously reaching for each shelf. I tracked her whole shop, all the way to the end with the drinks. She was reaching for this ginormous bottle of full fat cloak, and I thought, if that falls on her head, she's a goner, definitely, no questions asked. So I rushed over, took it down for her, put it in her basket. She sunk to the floor like a stone. I had to hoist her back up gently, carefully took her basket. I think we're all in mourning, you know, in different ways. It's loss of life, loss of time, loss of progress. Anyway, I ended up putting through her entire shop on self-service. She didn't say much. Just fumbled in her wallet and took out a 20 quid. I walked her to the door, and just as I turned around, she said, "Hang on." Was fumbling in her trolley bag for about a minute, finally pulled out this packet of bourbons she just bought. Fingers struggling to get them open. Half of them fell on the concrete before I caught the rest in my hands. Well, she looked at me. "Go on, you've touched them all now," with what I'm sure was a hint of a smile. So I did. Stuffed the first one in. I said, "Thank you." She said, "And thank you." I looked at her. Not a flicker. So I smiled and said, "No problem." And we stood there, eating our biscuits on a wet autumn pavement, just until it was time for me to go back inside.